There's a strange shift that happens when a man starts taking his own energy seriously. And it never begins with fireworks or divine lightning. It begins with tiny decisions that feel invisible while you're making them. Those early days are awkward, almost clumsy, like you're learning to inhabit your own body again. Most men think retention is just some discipline trick or a boost in willpower, but something deeper is going on. You're interrupting a loop. Your mind has been running for years, and when you disrupt an old loop, the system doesn't just update, it mutates. At first, you notice the obvious changes. Your mind isn't as foggy. You wake up without that heavy, drained feeling humming behind your eyes. Your posture straightens, not because you're trying to be confident, but because your muscles stop carrying that jittery guilt that follows impulsive habits. You feel solid again, grounded. People will sense that, and they'll comment on it in predictable ways. You look rested, you look focused, you look like you're doing something new. You'll treat it like you found a productivity hack or drank a special smoothie. That as the days stretch into weeks, something more interesting happens. Your presence starts to become unpredictable, not chaotic, not unstable. It's unpredictable in the way a storm is unpredictable. You're still calm, still steady, but there's an edge to you, a kind of depth that wasn't there before. Because when you stop leaking your instinct, you stop leaking your predictability. Before retention, your behaviors were basically mapped out by your urges. Anyone who knew you well could predict exactly how you'd act when bored, stressed, lonely, or overstimulated. Your patterns made you readable, and readability makes you forgettable. But once you cut off that fuel source, you start making decisions from intent instead of impulse. You move differently. You pause before reacting. You don't chase the quick dopamine hit that used to dictate your mood. You're not available on command. Suddenly, people can't place you in their mental boxes. So that unpredictability is part mystery, part tension, part authority. It forces people to pay attention because attention is the brain's response to uncertainty. And what they sense isn't volatility, it's self-possession. You're no longer a man pulled forward by his own compulsions. You're a man who chooses. That quality is rare enough today that it reads as dangerous. People feel that danger first before they intellectually recognize what it is. And danger doesn't always mean harm. It can mean capability, depth, potential for intensity. People respect intensity even when they don't understand it. What really throws them off is the silence that comes with retention. Not literal silence, the internal silence. The noise in your head dies down. The mind stops racing. The nervous twitch that always made you look restless disappears. You start listening more than you talk. You hold eye contact without flinching. You think before you speak. These things should be normal, but in a world of overstimulated men, they aren't. So when people see that silence in you, they project whatever story they want onto it. Some think you're intimidating. Some think you're judging them. Some think you're hiding something. Some feel magnetically drawn toward you and can't explain why. But none of them feel neutral because your energy stopped being neutral. Retention also gives you the gift of not chasing anything. That alone creates a gravitational pull. Humans are wired to value scarcity, and when you stop broadcasting neediness, when you stop unconsciously marketing your energy as something cheap and available, people interpret that as higher value. It's not arrogance, it's absence of desperation. You no longer move toward validation, you move toward purpose. That shift hits harder than you expect. Your eyes change, not in some supernatural way, but in the way focus sharpens a person's gaze. When a man stops indulging in fantasies that drain him, his attention stops diffusing outward. It consolidates. It becomes directed. You look like someone who's aiming, even when you're not consciously aiming at anything. That's where the unpredictability deepens. You're present, but not predictable. You're calm, but not passive. You're focused, but not obsessed. Every old version of you that people used to depend on disappears. And that forces people to update how they interact with you. Friends who were used to you agreeing with everything suddenly feel like they have to earn your engagement. People who used to test your boundaries suddenly find resistance where you used to fold. People who used to waste your time suddenly notice you don't have time to waste anymore. Respect isn't something you demand. Respect is something people give automatically when they can't read you and can't manipulate you. Retention sharpens your boundaries without you ever needing to announce them. You simply stop leaking the energy that made your boundaries blurry. Think about every moment before retention when you gave your power away in microscopic doses. The endless scrolling, the late-night compulsions, the impulsive decisions that made you feel weaker the next morning. Those were all signals your nervous system learned. Signals that said he doesn't control his own mind. Signals that said he will trade his energy for nothing. Signals that said he can be predicted. The moment you interrupt that loop, you're rewiring the signals. And when you rewire signals, you rewrite identity. Identity is just repeated behavior. Once the behavior changes, the identity follows. People respond to identity, not words. They aren't reacting to retention itself, they're reacting to the version of you that retention unlocks. You become a man who is no longer controlled by primitive loops. A man who can sit with discomfort instead of running from it. A man who can delay gratification instead of chasing it. A man who has internal momentum instead of external dependency. That momentum is what makes people respect you. Retention gives your energy weight. When you enter a room, you're not scattered. You're not floating. You're not buzzing with overstimulation. You're grounded. You're anchored. You're solid. Your presence feels like a statement, even when you say nothing. The unpredictable part is that people can't tell what you're capable of. They don't know what you're working on. They don't know what your goals are. They don't know where your attention goes when you're silent. A man with direction is dangerous. A man with disciplined energy is rare. A man who controls his own impulses is someone people automatically take seriously. But retention doesn't just change your external presence. It changes your internal rhythm. You stop sprinting mentally. You walk. You slow down. You think deeper. You feel deeper. You act from purpose instead of pressure. That internal shift shows up externally in micro-expressions people can't articulate. They just know you're different. The unpredictability becomes respect the moment they realize you don't need them. Not in a cold, dismissive way. In a self-contained way. Needing nothing makes everything around you respond. People start to value your time because you value it. They start to measure their words around you because you measure yours. They start to think before disrespecting you because you don't tolerate disrespect. You're not reactive anymore. You're intentional. The paradox is that the power was always yours. Retention just removes the static so you can feel it again. When you stop scattering your instinct, it consolidates into something more primal. Something steady, centered, and impossible to ignore. You're not trying to look unpredictable. You're not trying to look powerful. You simply stop leaking the signals that made you average. And in a world where most men can't sit alone with their own mind, the man who can becomes the one others follow. Not because you intimidate them, not because you demand authority, but because unpredictability backed by discipline reads as leadership. You become the man people watch before they speak. You become the man whose approval feels earned.